I'm out here in Palm Springs, California for the McCormick's collector car auction. Today's Friday, so it's the first day of like a 3-day event. Friday is definitely the best day to come because that's when they have the lesser expensive cars. You get to see them before they're gone. Also, if you're a spectator like I am, they have free entry on Fridays, where if you come Saturday or Sunday, I think it's like 25 or 30 bucks or something to get in. So definitely Friday's the day to come. Plus, it's a little less crowded. So I'm going to walk around, see some of the cooler vehicles here. I'm actually going to meet up with a friend a little later, and let's go check this thing out. Here's one that's really the last of the massive 70s Cadillacs. This is a 78 Eldorado, so right before they went and downsized these. These usually have these have a 500 cubic inch engine, front wheel drive, and plenty of leather. I mean, this thing is so Elvis it hurts. Wow, this one appears to be in really good condition. Just a really nice original car. And you know, it's good nick, but it's missing one of the wheel covers, which should be available on eBay. A few little scratches and things like that, but definitely a really nice driver, something that most people would be proud to own and go travel down the highway in. There's a good contrast to the kind of vehicles you see here. We got a 1988 Ford Bronco 2 that's like in really amazing condition. Original two-tone paint with the divider stripe there. Interior's like in really good condition. This one's an automatic, but as you can imagine, most of these were pretty well beat on and used for off-roading and go skiing and take to the snow and sort of things like that. So to see one in this condition is pretty rare these days. Something that's well a little over 30 years old, but wow, this thing is like just super clean. Plus it's got the XLT package, which is kind of neat. So, and then going next to it, we have a 64 Mercury Marauder. I actually had a 66 that I should have held on to. Actually, this one's a Park Lane Marauder. I had the S55, which is like even rarer. This one's kind of neat. It's got the vinyl top option, so which I imagine makes it a little rarer, and it comes in kind of like a coral pink. All right, continuing with the Mercuries, we got a kind of a rare muscle car. This is a 69 Mercury Cougar, which is the Eliminator edition. So definitely a rare one. These came with the hood scoop and the, of course, the deck lid spoiler there. This one's automatic. So it's got an 8-track player in it. It's a pretty nice car. It's got polyglass bias ply tires on it. It's like a nice older restoration. Something that's really clean and definitely kind of rare, so not something you see a lot of, even at like muscle car shows, because I think the production was pretty limited on these. Of course, it also came with the stripe on the side with the Eliminator package, but really cool muscle car. All right, so for all you oddball French fans, this one's a 59 Citroen Deux Chevaux, straight out of France. This is a very common car in France, not so common over here in the United States. Very bare bones. I believe that the seats were able to be pulled out to use like for a picnic, and they were designed to haul a lot of stuff, to be very versatile. This one appears to be in really good condition. Like I said, not something you see a lot of, especially in the United States, unless you go to like a Pacific Citroen or like a French Italian car show or something like that. All right, we're doing a lot of Mercuries today. This one's a 1978 Mercury Bobcat station wagon. This one's the Villager package with the faux wood paneling on the side. Of course, the Bobcat is the Mercury version of the Pinto, so it's kind of like a little bit more upscale Pinto. But check out that interior. It's kind of got a plaid design to it. And this car only has 22,000 original miles on it, and it's all original. It's even got the AM radio in it. Just an amazing time capsule. You know, this puts my Pacer wagon to shame, because this thing is just absolutely gorgeous, and a very nice example. Probably one of the best examples of one of these left, I'd imagine. And a really neat car here at the McCormick auction. This is another neat one. This is a 64 MG 1100 Sport Sedan. Definitely not something you see a lot of. Usually when you see an MG over in the United States, it's one of the Roadsters, or maybe one of like the MGB Coupes or something like that. Definitely not one of these. My dad had a Magnette sedan, which was like sort of similar to this, but a 1961 years ago that he was going to restore, never got around to. But this one's in really, really nice condition. Like I said, really unusual British car. And you can see the interior is absolutely mint as well. I think this one comes up today too. I'm not sure though. All right, here's a kind of an interesting short bed GMC. This one's GMC, not a Chevrolet. This one's got a 350 in it, and it actually looks like original patina that they clear coated over, but not before they lettered the side up with kind of a Crazy Horse Ranch Bronco bustin' theme here. So this one's actually a GMC Sierra, not a Chevy. It's got the plaid 70s interior, continuing with a dash pad theme with the same pattern. And it's got some saddles and some hay bales in the back, and he did the wood rails up here on the side. But kind of a neat way of taking a original patina truck, making it a little bit more interesting. And it's a 74, so it's pre-smog, so that's good. And it's got a little bit of rust, but like I said, it looks like he's just kind of going for the leaving it all patina theme. The lower parts of the fenders are a little crusty there as well. Be interesting to see what this one goes for.
Kitchen all straightened out over there.
Here's an example of a Rad Air Classic popping up at the auction. This is a 94 Trans Am 25th anniversary edition with 20,000 original miles. So it looks pretty fresh. Interior's like super clean, which, as you can imagine, it'd be hard to keep those white seats clean after all these years if there was any sort of use. And I actually had a 94 Trans Am, but I had a standard one. I had just a red one with T-tops. This one does not have T-tops, which I imagine were available in the anniversary editions as well. I'm pretty sure they were, if someone wants to correct me on that, but I'm absolutely certain that I've seen these with the T-tops in them. But kind of neat. So he's got all the original service history, everything from the dealership, both sets of original keys, everything it says comes with the car. So it'll be interesting what this brings, because I'm sure these are an appreciating asset. A PT Cruiser at a collector car auction. Yeah, we're not going to go there, but we are going to look at this 1972 International Scout 2. This one is very original. It's like it was repainted. It's got like a kind of like a lacquer paint, probably repainted in the 80s, that's coming off. And I mean, it's got blanket interior. It's ready to go off-road and be perfect for the Palm Springs area with all the desert out here. And still be pretty good shape for one of these, because these are very rust prone. Actually, I had a 1974 back in the day that was originally owned by my stepfather, and then he left to me when he passed, and I had it for a few years while I was in the Navy before I sold it to a guy I was stationed with. It's got some rust there on the wheel wells that probably needs to be tended to, and it's a little crusty. Like I said, these were prone to rust, but probably more of like something more of your budget car that you'd find here at the auction. But something that's definitely worth saving, because not too many of these left, and a lot of them were modified pretty heavily. Here's a real interesting one. This is actually a 79 Lincoln Mark V with 40 original miles on it. It says no smog to out-of-state buyers or dealers only, so I'm guessing they didn't want to bother getting it ready for California smog, since it's probably sat pretty much its whole life. But this basically is a brand new Lincoln Mark V. Who knows the story on this one? It's actually got a little bit of some scratches there on the door, but other than that, I mean, a couple nicks, garage things, because this car was not used all these years. This one's a collector series. It's got the extra padding there on the trunk. But like all the bumpers, not all nicked up like they always are. And it's a collector series, so real interesting car. It comes with the original window sticker. This car was $23,243 when new. I'm trying to see where this car is out of. It doesn't have... Oh, it has Bill Hayden Lincoln Mercury. I don't know where that's at, but it doesn't say. But that car, like I said, it is basically, you're getting a brand new Collector Series Mark V. And kind of an interesting tidbit, the last Lincoln Mark V I owned, I actually sold at this auction about 10 years ago. It wasn't like a special edition or Collector Series or anything like that, but had a really nice 49 State one with like a 78 with a 460, and I kind of wish I still had it. I'd like to get another one, but the values definitely have crept up on these 70s Lincolns, especially a clean one. Okay, so this is Gary. He's going to show us his 75 AMC Pacer, so he's a fellow Pacer owner.
Hello, I'm Gary Spake. I'm the original owner of the car and also the fourth owner. I'll explain that later.
Okay.
But I found it back in a barn in Minnesota and bought it back after 40 years or 30 years.
Yeah.
And so I ordered from the factory originally, 3-speed stick on the floor with no air conditioning. What an idiot!
Yeah, in a Pacer with
In a
all
Pacer
that
with
glass.
all the windows, 37% windows. I gave the car to my mom as a birthday present with 33,000 miles on it, and then she had it for 10 years and she put 300 miles on the car.
Yeah.
And then when she passed on, my cousin bought it and they took it onto the farm and they used it as a helper out there. They would drive out to the field to the tractor and then bring it back and park it and have their lunch every day. Never drove it in the winter because the car is too low to the ground for the snowbanks on the dirt roads. So they just drove it in the summer and took it to the parades and put balloons on it and all that stuff. And I saw it one day back there, and I says, "Well, how is the car running?" He goes, "It won't start." I go, "What do you mean it won't start?" "Well, it isn't started." So I went to look at it. I says, "You got that green tractor gas in this thing. It's gas without it."
That
Federal
agricultural.
tariff. Yeah, the federal tariff stuff.
Yeah.
And so I took a look at it. Oh, okay. Unplug the electronic ignition, plug it back in. Car started right up. It happened to me 3 times while I had the car, that it would get corroded behind the battery.
Yeah, they had problems with the electronic ignition on these. A lot of guys upgrade them to HEI.
They moved it to the other side of the car and it was fine.
Yeah.
It was a problem with the outgassing of the battery getting into the connector.
Yeah.
So as long as you take it off and unplug it. I put a brand new...
Yeah, my wagon's
this
on
way.
this side. Was on this
so
side.
it's got the new Eklund version of the ignition, that little gold box there.
Yeah.
So that's brand new and it made it run really better.
Oh, wow.
40 year. I have the original.
I went HEI on mine, and actually, the next time I got it smogged, it smogged much cleaner.
Yeah. So when I got this back in 2008, I was in Minnesota and I redid the brakes, the cooling system, the carburetor, new valve cover gasket, and drove it back from Minnesota to California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've had it since then. I rebuilt the rack and pinion. It's got power rack and pinion steering. I rebuilt that. Had it rebuilt. And all serviced all around. New rotors, new cylinders, wheel cylinders. You can daily drive it if you want it.
Yeah.
It's not great on mileage. You're
No,
lucky if you
I
get
know.
about 18.
Yeah.
3-speed stick though, but around town it's fine. It's not a highway car to speak of.
Yeah.
Although I drove it here from Orange County and I'm probably getting about 15, 16 miles a gallon. Smooth as can be. Steering is just steady, no noise. The wind doesn't, the shape of it, the wind doesn't even hardly affect it.
Yeah.
It just goes. So other than that, and this upholstery side, it took me 7 years to find the replacement material for this. It's all original vinyl.
The Navajo pattern.
Yeah, they call it Indian basketry or something.
Yeah.
And so I redid the whole thing on that so it would all match, because this color here is slightly off. It was really more white on the original. This one's kind of white and wheat, but I like the color combination. It doesn't show dirt at all, and it's the original pattern in it.
Yeah.
And they did all new padding in it when they redid it.
And you had a sunroof put in it?
I did that the second year I had it. I went, I am burning up in here.
Yeah,
So
with
it's
no
been
air
in-
conditioning.
It's been in here since
Yeah,
1976.
you need it with no AC.
And then I found this in the back because everything was exposed with no
I have
trunk.
never seen one of these. This is actually an original
Yeah,
cover,
it's the original cover thing for it.
AMC cover.
Yeah, it's all new carpet through the whole car, including here. And I've got all the manuals, the shop manual, all my first year, 4 years of receipts, all the magazine articles that I've gotten since I got the car that had Pacer in it. So they all come with it. And I have all the original paperwork, the window sticker, the build sheet,
Everything.
all that stuff. All for the right price.
There you go. All right, ready to let it go.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for sharing your car.
All right.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, here's a couple of Malaise era Fords, 10 years apart. This is a 1992 Thunderbird Super Coupe. This one's really, really clean. It doesn't say how many miles are on it, but it looks to be probably a low mileage car because the interior is not torn up or anything, and it doesn't look to have been redone, but has a little CB antenna or maybe a police antenna on the back. Pretty straight, and it's all there. Come over here, we got a Fairmont Coupe, so don't see these very often. This one says it won't pass smog, so for out of state or dealers only. I said these are getting popular for LS swaps and the like, and that's probably what will wind up happening in this car if it goes out of state. A little bit worn out, but all there, pretty much rust free. So a couple interesting cars that might not go for a whole heck of a lot here at the auction. There's a wild custom 1960 Chevy station wagon. So this like has a 348 or possibly a 409 with two 4-barrel carburetors on it. As you can imagine, this paint job looks like it was very, very expensive. And it continues on the inside. It's got the pinstriping and the artwork on the dashboard there. It's got a floor shifter, more pinstriping, and just like I said, it's a full custom. It's probably on airbags because it's sitting pretty low. Metal flake on the roof. Really, really neat car. So interesting to see. Maybe might be finding a new home today. All right, here's another oddity. This is actually a 58 Ford F100 pickup truck with the utility bed on the back. It's got a later small block Ford in it. Looks like it might have been freshened up at some point, but interior's doesn't have the stock steering wheel. It's got custom gauges with like a diamond plate and a floor shifter, but it's got a utility bed, which you don't see a lot of guys running around with these with the utility beds on the back anymore. So I don't know what it's going to bring. It's very patinaed, but definitely something you could use for a business or something of the like. And like I said, kind of unusual to see something like this at a collector car auction.
He was going so fast.
All right, here's a 1966 Chevy Belair sedan. This one's going up no reserve, so someone might get a good deal on it. Judging by the flag on the fender, probably left the factory with a 283 in it. Who knows what it's got in there now. It's got a aftermarket stereo under the dash, so they didn't cut the dash up, which looks like it's got a radio delete in it. So I'm guessing the car probably originally didn't have a radio. The hubcaps look to be from a later Chevrolet. I don't think those are 66 hubcaps, but car's pretty straight. So anyone that's just like looking to get into like a cool mid-60s full-size Chevy, this might be just the ticket. There's another neat original low-mileage car. This is a 1976 Chevy Caprice Landau. It's 14,000 original miles. It's first-year smog car and has a sticker on it saying for out-of-state buyers or dealers only, because apparently it wouldn't pass the smog test. That's kind of one of the big problems, as you can see from my other videos, is getting these late 70s cars to pass, because a lot of the parts are no longer available. This one's absolutely mint, so probably be going to a new buyer out of state. Something that someone will enjoy, and definitely something that you never see in this condition anymore. There's an unusual 63 Falcon. It says Millennium on the plate. Get it? Millennium Falcon. But what makes this thing kind of unusual is when you come around here, they actually shortened up the cab, almost tried to make a ute out of it, and just kind of put the window there, but there's no ute area there, but it still has the trunk. So kind of like a business coupe, I would say. Definitely unusual. And somebody spent a lot of time on that. That's about all I got to say about that. An 82 Datsun King Cab pickup, and look at the condition of this thing. It says it has 112,000 original miles, and it's absolutely minty. I mean, something that, as you can imagine, most of these were kind of used and abused. They were work trucks, and to see one that's this well preserved, it's got the original blue license plates, and I'm sure it was repainted, but still, I mean, these just do not come about in this sort of condition, and very, very interesting. All original inside. It's got like an old Clarion cassette deck from the 80s as well. So Probably something that someone found like in a barn or a garage or something like that. All right, I like the oddball cars. This is a 51 Studebaker Commander. This is actually the first car in the auction today. So they're just starting it to warm it up. But this is kind of a nice little cream puff here. And once again, I mean, not a lot of these around anymore. Years ago when I was in junior high, someone actually offered me one of these for free. But not in this condition, obviously. And unfortunately, my mother wouldn't let me bring it home because that would have been a really, really fun project. But this is the first car that's going to be hitting the block today. Okay, continuing with the oddball stuff. Here's a 54 Kaiser Special, and this one's in really, really beautiful condition. And check out the interesting roof line that kind of swoops up and over on this one. Once again, I mean, just a neat orphan car. It says it's got 39,000 original miles, and it kind of looks like it. I mean, look at these taillights, how they protrude. Anyone who knows old cars, usually when you have a protruding taillight, they're generally very hard to find because, as you can imagine, anything coming close to that would just totally destroy that taillight, especially as the years go on and the plastic becomes more brittle. But just a beautiful car, and it's going to be hitting the block here in a few. This is another oddball. This is a 1966 Studebaker Cruiser. So this was actually the final year of Studebaker production. And these actually use Chevy motors. As you can see, it's a 283 powered car, Chevy powered. So parts definitely easier to come by than a Studebaker motor. But kind of neat to see one here. You don't see these. In fact, my mother had a friend that used to have one of these that drove it like literally every day, but that was back in the 80s. So it was quite a few years ago. But just a neat car that someone could buy and enjoy and not have to worry about finding mechanical parts for. There's a beautiful Continental Mark II, a 1957. If you don't know about these were before Lincoln merged with Continental. So Continental was actually its own division of Ford at the time. So they are Continentals, they are not Lincolns. But it is a Mark II, and it's absolutely beautiful condition. It says it's been in California its whole life and was sold new in San Francisco. And these were like the most expensive new car you could buy at the time. So as you can imagine, a lot of celebrities own these, and dignitaries and people like that. But man, this is just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm sure it's going to bring quite a pretty penny here. There's a beautiful 58 Bonneville Convertible, and this one actually has tri-power, so this one's kind of a rare bird. These you could also get with fuel injection, which were even rarer. And if you look at the carpet, I don't know if it's going to show up on the film, they actually have sparkles in the carpet. My dad had a 59 Bonneville that had the same carpet with the little sparkles in it. So, and of course this one's got bucket seats all around, even in the back, which, I mean, in a 1950s full-size car you didn't see very often, even on a sporty one such as this Pontiac. But this is just an amazing car, somebody might be leaving with today, some lucky person, because I mean, look at all that. It's like a jukebox on the dashboard there. Just an amazing piece of 50s Americana. Here's an absolutely amazing piece here. This is a 1956 Olds 98 Holiday Hardtop, and it was actually a Motorama car. So this was actually in a car show in San Francisco, and GM added like extra pieces, such as like around the headlight here, the extra chrome and the extra like 98 spear there for the Motorama show. I think they're like a one-off piece or almost like a prototype. It's very similar to what they used in on the 58 Oldsmobiles. And it also has these extra pieces around the taillight, which were, I guess, just for this car, for the car show, for the Motorama. And this guy has like all the documentation on it, and just an absolutely gorgeous car, and definitely like a one-of-a-kind piece here, and something that you're not going to see yourself coming and going in. But we'll go look at the interior. I mean, just wow, what an interesting car, and kind of neat to see, and it's going to be going off to a new home. There's another oddball. This is actually a La Forza, so it's sort of like an Italian Pininfarina bodied SUV. I believe these had a Ford 302 in them, and back in the day when these were new, you used to see them running around on LA's west side a lot, and I think they did okay with them. Obviously, I don't think they sold a ton of these, and they do pop up from sale from time to time. And often they're in not that good of condition, but this one actually appears to still be in decent shape, and sort of like an unusual conversation piece. I don't know if that's a cell phone antenna or not, but if it is, it would be very, very of the era. And the interior is actually in good shape. Obviously something that would be perfect for rolling around Palm Springs. All right, if you ever wondered what would have happened if Starsky and Hutch had a 70s Skylark Convertible instead of a Ford Torino, look no further. This is a Skylark Convertible painted up like Starsky and Hutch, so even with a spoiler on the back. So very, very nice car, but can't imagine they went with this paint scheme and they just didn't think people would think it was like a Starsky and Hutch thing or something, but interesting nonetheless. So there you have it, the Starsky and Hutch Buick. How about a 27,000 mile 1973 Dodge Monaco sedan? Check this out with the hideaway headlamps. This thing is a monster, and it is in absolutely beautiful condition with low miles. Look at this. Look at the dashboard. This thing is so Malaise-tastic. It's phenomenal. I don't know if the video is going to quite pick up how awesome this car is, but what a gorgeous car. Whoever takes this one home is very, very, very lucky and very, very cool. So once again, what an interesting car. Not sure what motor it has. I'm not going to pop the hood or anything. Let me see if it says on the front what motor this one has, but wow, just interesting. Here, I'll show you the plaque there. Interesting enough, he put everything on the plaque except what motor it has, and obviously I'm not going to pop the guy's hood, but so we're here with Mark. He's going to tell us about his 1969 Ford Galaxy 500 convertible.
Hi.
Hi.
I've owned this car for 41 years. Bought it as my first collectible car, one that I restored. Just go to the junkyards where you can find them 2 or 3 a row. Get parts for them. Used it as an everyday driver for like 10 years, and then started showing it a little bit. I'm a mechanic by trade, and I've done all the work on it except the paint and the bolster. But all the mechanical work has been done by me over the last 40 years. It is an original big block car, a K-code 429 2-barrel. It is now a 460 bottom end with the Deux seat heads on it, Cobra Jet exhaust, 429 Cobra Jet exhaust, and it's got 3-inch manual vent exhaust, and it was dynoed at like 384 horse at the rear wheels. So it's a nice little grocery getter. Passes everything but a gas station. But I've had it a good long time. I've taken as best care of it as I could, and now it's time to let somebody else enjoy it.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing a bit with us. Okay, so that's going to wrap things up here at the McCormick auction in Palm Springs, California. Unfortunately, I have to get back to LA, so I had to cut it a little short, but I tried to get some of the more interesting things here at the auction. If you like my video, be sure to like, comment as to what your favorite car was, and be sure to subscribe, and I'll have more videos coming out very soon.